So today we are going to talk about some initial phrases that you are going to use during the speaking subtest. Okay. So we'll be waiting for a few minutes just to look after for our daily participants of this live stream. Okay. So today we are going to start with the beginning phrases for IELTS speaking test that you will be using while the part 3 section as well as in the part 1 section. So you can see here we already mentioned about the three different kind of topic areas on which the part 3 questions are mostly depending upon. So the first one is opinion based question, which I already mentioned you in the previous live sessions, and the second one is preference or our what we can say prediction. You have to predict a particular scenario in which that particular situation is going to be happening, and the next one is comparison. Okay, so these three are the broad categories on which the part 3 questions are mostly depending upon. So today we are going to look at the first kind of thing, which is opinion based question. Okay, so here we can see there are certain phrases which you can use to start answering for the questions in the part 3 section and as well as in the part 1 section whenever the examiner is asking you for your opinion. Okay, so the first phrase here is in my opinion. Okay, so you can start with a simple phrase like in my opinion. For example, if the examiner is asking about a certain topic in which you have to portray your opinion related to a particular task, so you can start it with the word called in my opinion. Okay, so this will give a clear idea about your opinion, what you're opinionating during that examination. And the next one is from my point of view. Okay, so this is also one of the simple ways you can start answering for a question. And the third one is from my viewpoint. Next one, it appears to me that. Okay, so the above mentioned three of these these phrases are very common, which the part examination are usually like the students can usually use it in the examinations and it might be very helpful for them. But this one, it appears to me that, this is not that much of a common kind of phrase, so this might be a bit not that much easy for you to use in the examination, but the above mentioned three will be very easy. And the next one, the fifth one, is also an easy one, that is I understand that. Okay, that also you can use while initiating a conversation or while giving an opinion related to a certain topic. Okay, and the next one, it is I firmly believe that. Next, it seems to me that, and from my perspective, and the last one is I realize that. So these are all certain phrases which you can use while starting your answer whenever you're giving an opinion. Okay, I will be showing you this slide for a few seconds just so you can go through all of these options, and if you have any doubts related to each and every example, you can ask me in the chat box. Okay, so coming back to the topic, I will be giving you an example question. For example, the examiner might ask you why it is important for students to wear uniform in schools. Okay, so that is an example question for this opinion-based question. So you can start the answer with the help of these examples, like in my opinion, or you can say from my point of view, wearing a uniform is a must for the students because it eliminates partiality, or we can say it eliminates a sense of partiality among the students. Moreover, all the students might be treated equal in the eye of the school. So, or all the students might be treated equally in the school. So it is very important to wear a similar uniform while coming to study in a school. So that might be an example answer by starting with this phrase called as in my opinion, or you can use from my viewpoint. So these are some of the common kind of opinion based phrases that you can use in the beginning. Okay, so anybody have any doubts while using these examples? Okay, so moving to the next one, we are going to see speculating or expressing possibilities. Okay, so here you are going to speculate about a particular scenario or a particular situation in which you have to go through each and every possibility. Okay, so here you can see the examiner may ask you to imagine to a different setting from the one you are in, or discuss the future, or weight opinions in the part 2 and part 3. So mainly this speculating and expressing possibilities kind of phrases are used in the part 2 as well as the part 3 speaking test. And even if you have a little knowledge or strong opinions on the subject, speculating can help you deliver a more thorough response. Okay, so it will really help you to make sure that you are going through all the possibilities that might happen during that question, or go through each and every possibility which will help you to answer that question. Okay, so I hope that I'm making myself clear, and you can see here some examples which are a great example for these possibilities kind of a question. You can use these phrases to answer that questions. Okay, so the first one is I suppose, second I would imagine that, third one perhaps, fourth it is possible, fifth one I would say, and the last one I think it is likely. Okay, so here also I will be giving you a few seconds to just go through all the examples, and after that you can ask me the doubt in the chat box. Good afternoon, Joshana, and good afternoon, Anup Philip. Okay, so here in this kind of a question, mainly it will be a bit difficult for you to answer the questions without these supporting or these phrases which might help you to start the answer. Mainly the most used one is I suppose, or you can use it is possible. So these are the common ones which can very easily use while giving any possibilities related to a question. So that will help you in that scenario, and mainly you have to work on these individual phrases, mainly because whenever you are going to give these phrases, it might be difficult for you to completely give the answers in a one sentence. Mostly it is because the word itself has to be clear, like where you should use it and in which circumstances you have to use that situation. Okay, so that will be a bit tricky for you while the examination. So you have to go through each and every possible phrase, and you have to work on it. That will be really helpful for you in the examination. Okay, and going to the next one, that is about comparison, comparing particular two scenarios. So as I already mentioned, opinion based questions are one of the things, and the next one is you have to give your prediction. So next one is comparison. You have to compare two individual scenarios here. Okay, so you can see you will also be asked question throughout the IELTS speaking test that will demand you to compare experiences, people, places, or things. It is crucial to know how to employ cooperative structures effectively for this. That means here in these kind of examinations, they will ask you to compare two individual scenarios. Okay, so it might be either a time frame or a duration or any particular trend which they will ask you to compare in between a given time period or a particular scenario. Okay, so you have to compare both of the possibilities, and accordingly you have to answer. So coming to the examples, you can see here similar to, that is the one of the best ways you can answer the question. So it will be very helpful for you to compare both of the individual components, and you will be easily able to answer the question. So similar to is one of the common ones. Next one, as fun as traveling alone. So as an adjective, you can use as an adjective, and you can start it as fun as traveling alone, or as enjoyable as playing the guitar. Okay, these are one of the things, like going to a trip is as enjoyable as playing a guitar. Or you can say going to meet my friend, playing guitar is my favorite activity, but meeting my friend is as enjoyable as playing a guitar. So you are comparing two different things which you enjoy a lot, and you are making a contrast in between them. Okay, so that is a good thing. You can do that in the examination in order to start the phrase. Next one, it is in contrast to. In this also you are making a contrast, creating contrast in between two individual scenarios. Okay, so just go through these three options and the examples you will be able to understand. And if you are not able to understand any of the examples, you can ask me. I'll be giving you a few seconds. Okay, so I hope that you all are able to understand it properly. Anybody have any doubts to these examples? Okay, so I hope this one is clear, and we are moving to the next slide, in which we will be looking for the phrases to help you through the IELTS examination speaking. So these are some of other examples of phrases that you can use, other than which we have already mentioned here. So you can easily go through these phrases in order to start the answer, and to make your answer a bit more unique as compared to the other participants in the examination. Okay, so you can see here the first one. Please read it. We have some few other people who joined the live session here. Archana, good afternoon. And Subi, good afternoon. Aishwarya, good afternoon. Aishwarya Lakshmi, good afternoon. So you're all welcome to the live session, and please participate. While I ask the question, please try to answer the question. If you have any doubts, you can easily ask me. It's a great pleasure to answer you all. And moving to the next one, you can see, if I remember correctly, it was. So these kind of phrases you can use whenever you're talking about a certain situation which happened in the past. Okay, so for example, if I'm asking you about a movie that you have watched recently, okay, so you can start the answer with the help of this phrase called, like, if I remember correctly, the last time I watched the movie, it was somewhere somewhere before 2 months, or somewhere like in that way you can depict the particular time frame. So you can start the answer with the help of this phrase called, if I remember correctly, it was. Okay, so you can read in this, it is mentioned like, this is a great phrase to start talking about something in the past. For example, the first time you were eating English food. Okay, so they itself gave some examples here. So they're asking about an English food that you have eaten, or describe an English food that you have eaten in the past, or in that way, similar kind of question. So you can easily answer the question with the help of this phrase, like, if I remember correctly, the last time I ate this English food was 2 days ago or 2 months ago. So similarly, you can answer the question. So reading further, you could use it quite easily in the part 2 for the IELTS speaking section. When giving an example, it's also suitable for use for the part 3. Okay, so during the part 3 subtest, in that time also you can easily use this phrase in order to depict a particular scenario in which you have done a thing in the past. Okay, okay, so I hope that this phrase is clear. Okay, moving to the next one. Okay, next one is, if my memory serves me well. Here also, it is similar to the one which we have seen earlier. In this also, you are talking about a particular scenario which happened in the past. That is, if my memory serves me well, the last time I ate the English food, it was somewhere before 2 or 3 months. In that way, you can easily answer the question. Okay, so this is similar to the phrase above. That means the phrase which we already mentioned. Phrase like these buy you a few seconds. So buying you a few seconds means you can easily grab some seconds in order to think or memorize certain answers. So if you are getting a question out of the blue, in that situation you might not be able to answer it properly. Okay, so in those scenarios you can easily take some time, and while delivering this kind of phrases, you can easily buy you some time in order to answer the question. So you can organize the rest of the answer in while giving these kind of phrases. So if my memory serves me well, the last time when I ate the English food, it was somewhere 2 to 3 months ago. Okay, so going to the next one. The next phrase is, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was. Okay, so if I ask you, like, may I know what kind of ice cream you like? So you might be answering like, I usually like to eat chocolate ice cream. Okay, so the next question might be somewhat like, can you please tell me when did you eat that chocolate ice cream recently? Okay, so in that situation also you can use this phrase like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was. Like, you can give a time period or a scenario or a situation. So you can say, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was somewhere between or somewhere before 1 week or like 1 month. So that might be also based on a time period. So you can easily answer in that way. Another variation of the previous two, using all three of the phrases instead of the same three times, will improve your lexical resource score. So lexical resource is also one of the things in which you will be getting the score on the IELTS examination. So you have to improve your lexical score. In order to do that, it is very important to use these kind of phrases. It will really help you to improve your lexical score in the examination. The examiner doesn't want to hear the same news or listen to the individual words. That means if you're using the same particular phrase throughout the examination, it might be a bit boring for the examiner also. So you have to change the initial phrases which you are going to use while answering the question. It will usually help you in order to get a good score. Okay, Ananya, good afternoon. So moving forward to the next one, I hope that these all phrases are clear to you all. If you have any doubts, please ask me in the chat box. Okay, coming back to the topic, we are moving to the next phrase that you can use in the examinations. So the first one is, well, to be honestly, or well, to be totally honest, I've never really thought about that before. Okay, so I will give you an example for this question. So if the examiner asks you for example, a question related to travel, do you like to travel? Okay, so you might be answering yes, sure. I would like to travel a lot, and I like to travel a lot whenever I get a free time. I usually prefer to go for a small trip. So that might be somewhat an apt answer for that kind of a question. Then the next question might arrive like, have you ever thought about traveling to this particular place? Okay, have you ever thought to traveling to, for example, Ladakh or Nepal? Okay, so if we are getting that kind of a question, so you can easily answer with this kind of phrase like, well, to be totally honest, I have never really thought about that before to visit that place, but sure, that might be in one of my bucket lists because I heard from my friends that the place is very good and it has quite a lot of sceneries to watch or to enjoy. So in that way also you can answer the question. Okay, so well, to be totally honest, I have never really thought about before. Okay, that's a good phrase you can use in these kind of scenarios. So you can read another totally natural sounding native English speaker phrase, remembering the intonation and rhythm within the phrase. It starts higher, dips in the middle, then picks up in the end, like you would be asking a question. Okay, so you have to focus on the intonation, the way you are delivering these particular phrases. Okay, so intonation is also one of the biggest important things on which we are going to get score in the examination. So, well, to be totally honest, I never really thought about before, or I never really thought about that before. So in that way you can easily use intonation in order to answer the question. Okay, so intonations are one of the best things that you can incorporate while speaking in the examination. That might really help you to secure some of the good bands in the examination. Okay, so moving to the next one. Next phrase is, I guess you could say. Okay, I guess you could say. So similar to the previous one, this is useful when you might not be fully convinced with your own answer. So sometimes it might be really like we're not that much confident related to answer. So in those scenarios, you can use these phrases in order to make a proper adjustment somewhere in between, like the answer. Like sometimes we might not be that much convinced about that answer. Okay, so for example, you are asked about a topic you have no idea about. So for example, if they're asking something out of the blue, you haven't heard it in the past, so you can use these kind of phrases in order to cover up the answer and somehow make the examiner convinced about that answer. So the example question might be, I guess you could say she is wise beyond her years. That means I guess you could say. So that's not a clear-cut statement, that is a guessing. So you can use these kind of statements in order to make sure that you are not completely out of the context, and to keep in the context and follow the question. You can use these kind of phrases. Okay. Okay. So moving to the next one. This is another phrase. It's funny you should mention that because just yesterday. Okay. So when an examiner asks you about a particular scenario or a particular thing which you have already experienced in the previous few days, you can use these kind of phrases. Okay, use this when you want to convey or to make up something coincidental. Okay, so coincidence or a thing which might happen with you in the past, and if the examiner is also asking about the same thing in the examination, so in that time you can usually use these phrases in order to show the coincidence related to that particular scenario. Okay, so here the word funny is not connected to humor, but more like an odd or strange. That means the word funny in this particular scenario is not depicting about a humor or in a funny sense. It means you might be a bit in shocked, or it might be a bit odd or strange for you to know that the same thing happened with you in the past few days, which the examiner is asking you. Somehow you are showing a bit of surprise. Okay. Yes. Maybe a new discount store opened in your area, or you have just moved to a new city. Listen all attentively to the test questions. It is best to use it. There are been actual coincidences, or you can confidently manufacture one. So mainly, if there is not that much of a coincidence that happened in your life, in these scenarios, you can usually make up one of the coincidences. Like, you can make sure that it is not that much clear to the examiner that you're making it up, but you should be quite smooth with it. You have to work in your intonations, so in order to make it more understandable to the examiner, so you can use this phrase in order to show that the similar thing happened in the past with you, so you can make it a coincidence in that scenario. Okay, I hope that one is also clear. You can go through it and read it for a few seconds. If you find any doubts or any queries, you can ask me. Okay, the next phrase. Well, I think nowadays it's a quite difficult question, or it's a difficult question nowadays. In that way, you can manipulate or make changes in these phrases. It's not always like you're supposed to say these phrases in the same way. You can change these phrases according to you, according to the scenario. Okay, so here it is mentioned, well, I think nowadays it's a difficult question because. So if a if the examiner is asking you a question related to any of the current scenario or things which are happening in the current scenario, you can use these kind of phrases in order to elaborate that answer. So this will mostly like to be useful in the part 3 section, because when you are starting with these kind of phrases, the answer should be a bit lengthy and you are talking about all the possibilities which might happen in that scenario. So these kind of questions are usually asked in the part 3 section. So when you are start getting more challenging questions, so when you're getting these challenging questions and perhaps you need a few seconds to prepare, so at that time, in order to cover up the time or in order to think more about that question, you might usually use these kind of phrases in order to help you. Okay, so you would probably never use this in the part 1, because these might not be used in the small like when you're giving a small answer, these kind of phrases cannot be that much beneficial for you while using in that scenario. Okay, yes, so I hope that this one is also clear. It goes like, I think nowadays it's a quite difficult question because. So you can start with this phrase. It will really help you to go through all the alternative situations, or you can easily elaborate the answer in a very quiet manner. Okay. Okay. This is the next phrase, that is, yes, definitely. There are few reasons for this, firstly and secondly. So this firstly and secondly words are usually used when you have to go through all the different kind of aspects, two different kind of aspects of a question. Okay, so for example, if I'm asking you a question related to any topic in which you have to talk about two different aspects, you can easily start with the word firstly and you go through with the first aspect, and you can use the word secondly to go through the second aspect. That will surely help you to easily cover up the question, and you will be able to easily answer all the aspects of that question. Okay, so you can read, do you think trust is declining or increasing in modern society? So this is two different aspects, so declining and increasing. So you have to talk about both the aspects, so you can use the word firstly or secondly. Okay, so trust is definitely increasing. There are few reasons for this. Firstly, so you can use this word in order to start the answer. You can easily go through this word, and you can easily bring the possibilities of the decline of trust. Then you can go with the second word, secondly, in which you will be showing the increase or the increasing aspect of the trust. Okay, so you can easily go through and switch through both of these different aspects. So firstly and secondly is a quite good thing in order to incorporate in the examination. Okay, yes. Moving to the next one. So this is an example question that you will be getting in the examination. So we can go through this and we can easily understand all the kind of phrases which we are used in this answer section. And there are small phrases, there are big phrases, there are different kind of phrases which will be helping you to answer this kind of trickier question. Mostly, as I already mentioned, these kind of questions will be incorporated in the part 3 section. Okay, so the question in front of us describes as, it is better to make major life decisions on your own or to seek advice from others. So this question is asking you to describe about a particular scenario in which you have to take a decision by yourself, or you have to go to ask to other people, for example your family members, your parents, to ask other people related to that particular decision. So the answer starts with a phrase like I believe. So I believe is a phrase which you're going to start, in which you are showing your opinion or your perspective related to that question. Okay, so I believe there are solid arguments for both. It is after all your life, so I think you should make the choices yourself. Okay, so that is a statement or a particular sentence in which you have used an initial phrase which helped you to develop this particular sentence, and throughout the sentence you are giving your own opinion and coming forward with the next one. However is the connector that you're using. Next one, because any decisions you make can impact the people around you, it seems only fair to consult with them first before making a decision. After that, then again you are using a phrase, I'm afraid that. Okay, in this you are going through another possibility. Okay, the next possibility is, I'm afraid that like many philosophical topics there is no straightforward answer. Okay, so with the help of few different kind of phrases, we can easily go through different aspects of the question, and we can easily merge up different ideas, and we can make it a whole sentence in order to present it in front of the examiner. Okay, so I hope that this question really helped you to understand about the phrases. Some of the common phrases I used it in this answer will be helpful for you to connect different kind of options or different kind of aspects of a particular question and make it up a sentence and present it in front of the examiner. And surely that will help you in the examination to clear it out. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that is all about our today's live session. I hope that all the things which we discussed today are really helpful to you. And if you faced any doubts or any of these kind of concerns in these questions, you can quite easily ask me in the chat box, and I'll be waiting here for a few doubts in order to clear up. And after that, I will be concluding this session. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for your participation. We are going to conclude this live session here itself. Thank you for you all to join, and we'll be meeting you in the next live session. Thank you.